Hey good people, welcome to Melanated Vibrations, a new show that celebrates the diversity and richness of Black culture. Join us as we delve into our individual mental health and overall mental health of our community. From the latest trends to the timeless coping mechanisms, we'll showcase the best of what it means to be mentally healthy. So sit back, relax, and get ready to feel the vibrations of Black excellence. Let's get started.
Happy Monday. Hey, good people. Happy Monday, the last Monday of the month and the second Monday of spring. Doesn't really seem like spring with all this rain, but I guess they say April showers brings May flowers. I guess we'll see. Welcome. Thank you for joining me on Melanated Vibrations. I'm super excited about this episode, not the water department interrupting these podcasts. I am super excited about this episode. It is something that is near and dear to my heart, and the person that I have coming on is an expert in what we are going to talk about this evening. So before we get started, let's start how we always do. Let's start with our grounding technique. The grounding technique today is going to be very simple. It's going to kind of be a combination of things that we usually do. So if you are sitting down, not driving, you are in a safe space, or standing. Sometimes I do like to stand, so standing is good, or you can sit. But I want you to make sure that your feet are planted on the ground if you're standing or if you're sitting. So we are going to start by wiggling our toes, got to get the feet moving. But as you are wiggling your toes, I want you to focus on your breathing. So we are going to breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth. So we are going to breathe in and breathe out. Remember, we're still wiggling our toes. Breathe in, breathe out. And now we're going to move our legs, shake our legs, shake our legs. We're going to just feel what's happening in the lower half of our bodies. We are solely focused on what's happening in our bodies right now. We are going to breathe in through our nose, and we're going to let out through our mouth. Then we're going to work our way up. Breathe in, breathe out. Now I want you to take your hand, it could be any hand that you choose to, and I want you to place it on your chest, right over your heart. And I want you to feel your heart. I want you to feel how your heart is beating. Is it racing fast? Is it steady? Is it slow? What is it doing for you? So we are going to breathe in through our nose, out through our mouth. In through our nose, out through our mouth. Now we're going to shake it out. Shake. Wiggle our hands. Feel what's happening in our bodies. Does your arms feel heavy? Do they feel tiring? Or do you feel good that you're getting a good shake out? Remember, the whole time we are breathing. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now we're going to do a good little shake. All right, so that is our grounding technique for today. Yes, if you are on here, whether it is YouTube or Facebook, please share the podcast. Please get as many people as you can. Tag your friends, your family, anybody you can think of, tag them in. Make sure you go on YouTube and subscribe to the Big Exclusive. Make sure you like and subscribe and share. Okay. We are trying to hit a quota and I need y'all come on in. We all family here. Invite some more family. All right. So now that we've done our grounding technique, I actually, instead of doing an intention today, I actually wanted to do an affirmation. So the affirmation that I wanted to do is something that actually kind of just came to me right before the podcast. Um, More or less is like a confirmation for me. So my affirmation for today is that my needs and wants are important. And so I want everyone to come up with an affirmation. It could be something like, I deserve to be seen. I believe in myself. I am enough. I am successful. My needs and wants are important. Yes. So everyone, an affirmation. And when you say it, you have to believe it. Don't just say it and actually believe it. It can be things like, I am confident. I am powerful. I am strong. I am getting better every day. I wake up motivated. All I need is within me right now. So whatever it is that you need to affirm yourself and tell yourself, that is what you are going to tell yourself in this moment. And so that is how we will start the show off. Hey boo. That is how we will start the show. Hey Hannibal. Hey. So good to see you guys. Hey Tiff, thanks love. You always share. I appreciate you so much. Yes, I am enough. It's a powerful one. Amen. Yes, Q. Everything attached to me prospers. Yes, I love that. I am grateful and blessed. Yes. Those are great affirmations to have on this Monday evening. Even before you go to bed, tell yourself some affirmations. Be careful of the things that you take to bed with you. I am blessed. Absolutely. There's just certain things like certain movies I will just not watch. Yes, let's attach ourselves to Q, okay? Because I've been seeing her on IG. She out here making big moves. Shout out to Q. Certain movies I just will not watch before I go to bed. Because those are things that I do not want to take to bed with me. So certain scary movies, and I love scary movies, absolutely love scary movies. I love zombie apocalypse movies. I sit there and watch it all day. In my mind, I'm just waiting for the zombie apocalypse to break out. But after a certain period of time, there's just certain things that I will not watch, certain things that I just will not take to bed with me. Even conversations, I cut certain conversations off after a certain time. So try it. Try an affirmation before you go to bed, pouring some positivity into you, whatever you believe in, whatever God or the lack thereof, whatever your thing is, whatever your niche is, your belief, your faith, take that to bed with you. Say an affirmation, speak positivity over your life. And as you go to sleep, and then reiterate that affirmation when you wake up in the morning. And see how that will kind of change your day. If you go into it positive and you stay focused, you'll have a little voice in your head that will constantly remind you of kind of what it is that you told yourself before you went to sleep and when you woke up. So we're going to jump right into it because tonight is going to be a good show. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my guest, someone that is near and dear to me. We actually did our internship together. So that is how we met. We did our internship together, and that's a whole other story. Maybe we'll do that on another show. But we stayed in contact afterwards. And this topic is something that she's amazing at. So what we're going to talk about tonight is love addiction, codependency, and love bombing. So I am going to introduce our guest for the evening. And then there is a video clip that I have that I want you guys to watch. You got to be careful what you consume, especially before bed, and they wonder why they wake up on. Seriously though, seriously, you really do have to be careful of what you take to bed with you. So that's a good thing. This is what happens when you have a child that wants to get time for Robux. So absolutely Q. Be careful of those spirits that you take to bed with you, because yeah, you don't want to take that. Now you got sleep paralysis. I know that's something I suffer with. That's why I stopped watching certain things at night. Hey sis. Yes, thank you, niece. Thank you, niece. Thank you for supporting your auntie. So I'm gonna jump into our guest. Her name is Melissa Rosario. Melissa Rosario earned her BS. She is a specialist in healthcare management with a GPA of 3.9 in her undergrad. She went on to further her education at Rosemont College and earned her master's degree in psychology with a concentration in trauma and addiction studies with a GPA of 3.7. She wrote a self-help healing interactive book available on Amazon for purchase. She has earned her aesthetician license to specialize in skincare. So I'm gonna let her come on here as well and talk about that. When I tell you it is amazing, she does a little bit of everything: facials, filler, like the girl do it all. She's a master of all trades. She wears many hats. She decided that she wanted to dedicate her life in helping others be the best version of themselves in a world that constantly criticizes one for just existing. She hopes to leave a lasting impact with everyone she encounters with her education, wisdom, and expertise in mind. So, with that being said, I would like to welcome my special guest, Melissa Rosario.
Hi, so good to see you. So good to see you.
It's good to see you. Yes. How have you been?
I am great. I cannot complain.
Good.
I'm definitely happy to see you on this platform.
Thank you.
I know how you were.
Listen, I was pushed into this. Shout out to Big Exclusive, because it was just a talk, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna let you know when I'm ready. He was like, "You taking too long." So I feel like
I know how you are. I'm glad to see the growth though, because we need definitely more melanated girls, definitely, especially in the psychology, as we see mental health is on the rise. So we need more representation. So it's important.
Listen, literally out the frying pan into the fire. Like literally, he was like, "Oh, let's see if you can swim. Jump, go, just push me out there in the 13 feet." I was like, "Where's the life jacket? I can't swim."
You can swim. You got this.
Clearly, I figured it out. I figured out how to paddle my feet and my hands at the same time.
Yeah, you're good. You're amazing.
Thank you. So tell us about your business. Tell people what it is that you do. I definitely want to have you back on the show to like just kind of talk about your entrepreneurship, your journey. Yes, the network is a life jacket, and y'all do got my bad. You know, they had the gang. Listen, they had to jump me in. It felt like a whole little gang initiation, you know, between Shannon and Angry OG. I was like, oh, when I catch y'all, we fighting. But I do appreciate them. It's been amazing. The support has been absolutely amazing from everybody at the network. And it feels good to like be around people that look like me. That's like, it ain't no crabs in a barrel type stuff. Like, it's really just, we all want to see everybody win. And I love that. I absolutely love it. So, but enough about me. Tell me about tell me what it is that you do, like how you get the skin right. Like, come on, tell them.
So, as Dominique had did, thank you for the introduction. So, yes, as she had mentioned, my undergrad's in healthcare management. I also have pharmacy technician under my background as well. In addition, I went to Rosemont. I concentrated in addictions and trauma studies, with those was my specialty. And then after that, when I was in school earning my master, I actually returned back to school to get my aesthetic license. So as we know, a lot of I don't want to pinpoint females, because as I'm learning, as I'm evolving, men have some self-esteem issues that be boring enough. So just in general, self-esteem issues is on a high radar, and I think it gets missed. And skin plays a part into that. And then your skin is connected to your health and everything else. That's how we have body dysmorphia on the rise and all of that. So everything is connected. The whole idea is to bring everything into one base. So that way we treat the mind, body, and soul. Because when we depict all these things, and once you start to learn the anatomy of the mind, the anatomy of the skin, you start to realize like all of these things are actually connected. And we all need all these things. And just like when you learn about the autoimmune system, and it's like, oh my God, it's just like your body is attacking itself. And then also like depending on, like, let's say someone has acne, hypothetically, or weight issues, that's physical, that's the skin. That starts to play on their emotions and different things. And you know, you and I are really, we've been exposed to body dysmorphia where someone would actually create something that's really not there. And it happens.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And so that is why you are doing what you do, making people look beautiful, feel their best self. One facial, one cleansing, whatever it is they're coming to you for at a time.
Yeah, and waxing, I do Brazilian.
You do waxing. Listen, summertime coming up, ladies. Y'all better. Okay, now we about to get pieces. Okay. All right.
Not just the ladies, it be men too. So
listen, whatever it take, men. Listen, okay. We like men that manscape. Okay, go on and get yourself cleansed, get cleaned up down there. Okay,
cleaned up.
Whatever it takes. All right. So, of course, we're going to talk about something that you are an expert at, right? Love bombing, codependency, love addiction. I sent you the video and I want to kind of play it for everyone else just so they can kind of get a basis of kind of what love bombing looks like. And then I'm going to get into some definitions and then we're going to just have an open discussion, kind of just go from there about kind of what each thing is. So, big exclusive when you're ready. If you could play the footage, please.
You got baited, trapped, and now he's trying to destabilize you. He love bombed you in the beginning. Oh, you're wonderful, you're this, you're that. He does that with all women because that's his MO, that's how he does. And then once he gets a woman ensnared and thinking that, wow, this is who he is and this is how he can be, then he kind of chips away at who you are. So you kind of feel destabilized. You're always trying to please him because he tells you you're not quite good enough. And you see him with other women and he shows you that he can be with other women to make you feel like you're not stable and you're not safe and you're insecure. But you're still waiting to get back to that time when he loved you that much. And every once in a while, he may dangle a little bit of that love out in front of you. But his job is, other than that, to keep you under his thumb so he can behave as he wants to behave. And that's why he's all weird about all of that. You talking to other men, you talking to your man. He wants you isolated and alone. He doesn't want you to believe that you can be, do, or anything else. He didn't burn your clothes. He burned your cap and gown. He doesn't want you to be your own woman standing on your own. Because if you get educated, if you get strong, if you get right, you will get rid of him.
Yeah. So she said a lot, right? So there's a couple different versions of that clip where it talks about him having being a narcissist. It talks about the love bombing that kind of happened in their marriage. And so with that clip, we'll jump right in it. So let's talk about what is codependency. So let's start there. So for those that don't know, codependency is an emotional and behavioral condition that affects an individual's ability to have a healthy, mutually satisfying relationship. Yes, a lot of people have been through it, right? Probably didn't know the term, probably didn't know the phrase, probably did know it. It is also known as a relationship addiction because people with codependency often form or maintain relationships that are one-sided, emotionally destructive, and or abusive. Codependency is a disease of immaturity caused by childhood trauma. Codependents are immature or childish to such a degree that the condition hampers their life. So, common codependent behaviors can include, these are just a few things that you may notice. The person may be manipulative. They may emotionally bully you. They will caretake to the detriment of their own wellness. The ones who care the least will always dictate the pace of your relationship. It's a form of manipulation. They'll suffocate you. People pleasing, ignoring your own needs, then getting frustrated or angry. This is someone that shows behaviors of being codependent. Not knowing who you are without a person, having a hard time setting boundaries, being unable to think about life without the other person, being unable to believe or accept that someone loves you. Hey, royalty. A need for constant assurance and making excuses for each other. And there's plenty of other things that go on this list, but those are just a few of the common codependent behaviors. The primary or core symptoms of codependency. So these are symptoms of people that unfortunately suffer in codependency. And it's not just with intimate relationships. So let me be clear on that. It can be any kind of interpersonal relationship where you just do not have healthy boundaries. So difficulty experiencing appropriate levels of self. So, difficulty loving yourself. Difficulty setting functional boundaries with others. So difficulty protecting oneself, difficulty owning one's own reality appropriately. So basically that means like you have difficulty identifying who one is and knowing how to share that appropriately with others. Difficulty addressing interdependently one's adult needs and wants. So you have difficulty giving yourself self-care, worrying about yourself because you're so focused on taking care of other people. And difficulty experiencing and expressing one's reality in moderation, meaning just simply that there is difficulty being appropriate for one's age and various circumstances. So that is codependency. Melissa, what would you like to add to that of codependency? And I know there's a couple comments that popped in about the signs and symptoms of codependency. Yes.
I think you did a great job dictating everything, describing everything, defining everything. As you had mentioned, though, just to elaborate, codependency can be anything, right? It could be a parent codependent on a child. It can be friendships that can get codependent. So it's important that people understand what it is, because it's not just in a love relationship. It can be in friendship. It can be in workspaces. It can be anywhere. And codependent may seem like, it's okay. It's okay. But then when you're in it, it's a whole different system. A lot of people don't even know what's happening until they're in it. And it's like, oh my God, that just happened. So you did a great job detailing exactly what it is. And self-esteem is the core of everything, and those boundaries, because when you don't know who you are or you cannot protect yourself, it leaves you vulnerable to a lot of things, and people sense it. And the minute that you think that they're not sensitive, no, people are strategic and who they choose and who they're looking for. They know who to prey on. And I'm just going to say this, I just learned this through working. Those helplines, those suicide helplines that's on there, they actually prey. Not all of them are governed by real official people. That's also another target way to hear people's vulnerability and prey them. And I didn't even know that. And I was like, oh my God. But so many forms of, when you're seeking help as well, make certain it's from an individual that is authentic and that has accreditation. Like right now, you and I can still get in trouble, right? So
right. Yeah. And I think even that, like when you're looking for a therapist, right? It could be any, like you said, any relationship, any kind of relationship. It can be a therapeutic relationship. It could be, your codependency. It could be countertransference and transference. That therapist may struggle with some form of codependency or some type of love addiction. That therapist may like want to hold on to you, and you've been in therapy for all these years. And it's like, they just do not want to let you go because it benefits them to like have you in that chokehold, to know your vulnerabilities, to know, to know kind of all your deepest, darkest secrets. It is unhealthy. When a son is super codependent on a mother is defined as an Oedipus complex. It can be defined as an Oedipus complex. My issue is that codependency is not always a bad thing if you're codependent with the right person. I don't think anyone should be codependent on anyone. Let's say that we were never meant to be alone. We were actually supposed to be codependent because. So I think there's a difference between being codependent and being with someone because that is the way God created us. So yes, God created man to be with woman, woman to be with man. You know, it's a whole mixture of that these days, whatever everybody's preference is, I don't care. God did not create us to be in this world by ourselves. So yes, we are supposed to be with people, but we are also supposed to know how to be without these people. So when I say codependent, I don't mean like, oh, if you're married or oh, if you're in a relationship or you should be by yourself. No, codependency is unhealthy. When you don't know who you are, when you have self-esteem issues or trust issues, when you are more concerned with this person's wants and needs over your wants and needs, and you're not taking into consideration what it is that you need, when you are suffocating or this person is suffocating you, when they are using your weaknesses and your vulnerabilities as a manipulation, that is when codependency is not a good thing. Codependent people do not know how to set healthy boundaries. They don't know how to set healthy boundaries. They allow people to just do whatever they want to do to people or do to them. They don't know how to set healthy boundaries. So I think you're thinking codependency and partnership or a unity to be something different. Codependency is not healthy. It's not healthy at all. It's just not healthy.
Not to mention, anything can happen in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So imagine if you're codependent or like anyone, like life circumstances. Unfortunately, we see people that lose people all the time. So to be you can't, like, codependency is just really, as you have mentioned, it's just not in any form, because you won't know how to set boundaries. You won't be able to navigate. The whole idea of the world is for us to navigate, and sometimes you may have to set those boundaries. But if you allow someone to continuously mistreat you because you're codependent,
Mm-hmm.
then that can be dangerous. Or even another person codependent on you.
Mm-hmm.
As a clinician myself, and going back into clinicians, and this is what people is in the therapeutic world, right? It is clinicians practicing that we know may, have some things that they have to do internally. When we are practicing ourselves, the idea and how I practice is so that my clients can be independent of me. I don't want you calling me every 5 minutes. No, I do not.
Right.
So the idea of counseling too in a therapeutic alliance is that eventually you get to a place that you can make your healthy decisions on your own, and you won't always have to contact me. And then eventually we start to slowly titrate you off. Because even being dependent on a clinician is unhealthy, because anything can happen, or that person could exploit your vulnerability without you even knowing, because you're trusting a professional.
Yeah, codependency is not healthy. Should we be in partnership? But I'm going to call it a day. Right, but even that, right? So like being codependent on your friends, or your friends being codependent on you, coworkers, family, intimate relationships. This can go for anybody, or simply even clients. Like at some point when we have clients as clinicians, as Melissa and I are clinicians, right? We pour into our clients with skills and interventions and coping mechanisms, so that when they go through crisis, they go through whatever it is they're going through, I'm not the first person you should call, because I have given you enough skills that you should reach down in your pocket and pull one of them out, please. Pull one of the skills out that I've taught you, that we're working through. And if after that you've tried these coping skills and they're not working, and then you still need to talk to us, then fine. But eventually the goal is to be in therapy for a period of time, and then we are to release you. You are right. They're supposed to give you coping mechanisms that really work. Like these are supposed to be like your little cheat sheet. That's what coping skills is. It's a cheat sheet you carry around, you remember, you repeat, you say to yourself. You're not supposed to be codependent on anybody, because then you lose who you are and you allow that person the power to manipulate a situation. Therapists included. Therapists do the same exact thing.
It's more dangerous with a therapist.
It's more dangerous with a therapist, because they have all this skill, all this education, and they are not using it the proper way. Some therapists will keep you in therapy longer than you should have been. Some therapists will keep you when they should have referred you out to someone else, to a higher level of care or to a step down level of care. Melissa and I personally know somebody. We're not going to mention no names on here, but codependency it's not a healthy thing in the sense of the way we're talking about it. We're talking about people that are manipulative and emotionally bully you and use you as an emotional punching bag and being a people pleaser and suffocating you and losing who they are or losing who you are because all you know is this person. That is the sense of codependency we are talking about. You were going to say something, Melissa.
No, I was gonna say when it comes to like manipulation, right, exploitation, and knowing what to pay. These people are study. Better believe they studying their prey. No one just go in there right casually. It doesn't work like that. They have to study you. They have to investigate you. Even in relationships, even in friendship, right? They're studying you. It's like dark psychology. So this is why it's imperative to understand because you promise you don't know it's even happening.
It just happens. And this is why, a couple weeks ago, we talked about boundaries. This is why it is important to have and set healthy boundaries with people. Because if you have boundaries and you have these non-negotiables, right, a codependent person does not recommend boundaries. Right. Kind of women and their abusers. Exactly. Women, unfortunately, people that are victims of domestic violence, unfortunately, physical, emotional, psychological, financial violence, they don't have healthy boundaries because they are yearning for that person to love them. Just like Judge Toiler, hey Shantae, just like Judge Toiler said, like you are always hoping that person, you can feel that feeling that you felt in the beginning. Yes, please be sure to share and stream and tell your friends and tag them on in. This is a good topic this evening. But you are always chasing that europhobic feeling, right? That whatever that was that made you fall in love with this person. And then they switch up and then they change. Men and women, this ain't just a man thing. Yes, she was talking to a wife about the husband, but this can go both ways. Women can be manipulative. Women can be emotionally bullying. They can emotionally bully you. They can suffocate. They can do all of those things. So it's not just one thing or the other. It's linear. It doesn't go in any kind of order. So then, in addition to codependency, you have what's called love addiction. Now, love addiction is someone who is dependent on, enmeshed with, and compulsively focused on taking care of another person. Sounds similar to codependency. Although being a codependent can lead some people into love addiction, not all codependents are love addicts. That is very important. Just because you are codependent on a person does not mean you are a love addict. There are three kind of main characteristics that sums up major behaviors when it comes to people that suffer from love addiction. Love addicts assign a disproportionate amount of time, attention, and value above themselves to the person who they are addicted, and this focus often has an obsessive quality about it. So they are taking time that they don't even have or all of their time, and they are focused on you, and it becomes an obsessive behavior. Love addicts have unrealistic expectations for unconditional positive regard from the other people in the relationship. And love addicts neglect to care for or value themselves while they're in a relationship. So love addiction and codependency are very similar. The key thing to take away is that not all, codependents are love addicts. But this is also someone that is very dependent on you. Now, there's another form of this where it's called love avoidant. We won't get into that, but a love avoidant is, you may have someone in a relationship that's a love addict, so they want to just be underneath of that person all the time, just want to be with them, just want to, forget the world. They got 62 things on their checklist to do, but they don't want to do none of them because they want to be enmeshed with you. They want to just give you all the time and attention they have. But then you may have somebody else in a relationship that is a love avoidant who strays away, who pushes back on all of that, where they don't want the intimacy. They don't want all of the unconditional positive regards that comes with this love addiction. Oftentimes, there are relationships where there are two polar opposites. This person that is a love avoidant may even still be in a relationship with the love addict, but may be stepping out on the side or have a friend or a sneaky link, as they call them, somebody else that's a love avoidant who don't want all the relationship stuff. They just want to do what they do when they see each other and then that's it. They're not here for, you know, a long time. They just here for a good time. That is someone that could be a love avoidant, someone that just like they're in a relationship with a love addict, but they're not really in it for all of the glitz and glams that come with the relationship. They push it away. They have trust issues. They have insecurities, so they're not really giving their all to the relationship. So that's my take on love addiction, love addict. Melissa, what would you like to add to that?
Exactly. It's important that people know that codependency, love addiction, love avoidance are three different spectrum, although they can sometimes, have similarity in regards to characteristics. But love addiction love addiction is more when we talk about issues like also you have hormonals in play, right? Things that are released. That's, a person when we describe any addiction is literally exhausting time addiction, like drug addict addiction, substance abuse. Like you realize that they're like exhausting someone's time. And the same thing when we talk about love addiction, you're literally giving a person more time. So instead of it being a drug, that person is that drug. They get their dopamine from that person, they get their high from that person. They literally would stop to, like, let's say they have all these activities going on, but they want to be available to that person. This is where it becomes more of an addiction. Whereas though this person literally is stopping their life and making their whole world and connection with this person. They no longer, you ever see when people stop being friends, right? With their girls, it's just like, hold up, wait, you got into a relationship. You're not like, and that's the unhealthy part. Love is not bad, but the addiction for anyone can be unhealthy, where it becomes obsessive and it becomes controlling. And that is what is the main thing when it comes to an addiction, is the main thing about time. They literally is absorbing this time that they can be doing, working on themselves or doing something. And sometimes it can be suffocating to the one that's, having this, like, I need your time, because they need that hit. Because also they get a high from it. Imagine if you have no other hobbies. You're not, people are too busy to, like, I'm too busy to be having this. I got a book coming, I got this. They literally was, their whole focus and their happiness stems from that one person.
And they know nothing else. And then they start and neglect the care for themselves. They don't know who they are because they're so enmeshed in this person. They are literally addicted. So that's a great way to, like, get people to understand. Love addiction is just, it's an addiction. Love in itself is an addiction. It can be a great thing, but it can be a really bad thing when you are too enmeshed in a person and you are just spending unrealistic or wanting to spend unrealistic amount of time. Big Exclusive, put that question back up that you had for Melissa and I, please. As a therapist who knows all things, all these things, can you recognize them? How does it affect your personal relationship? Melissa, you can answer this question first.
As a therapist who knows all these things and can recognize them, how does it affect your personal relationships? When you're discussing personal relationships, are you talking about with yourself or personal relationships like in other segments? Like,
I guess like our interpersonal relationships.
You start to lose yourself in that person. Simple. Like wherever this person is, especially if the person is abusive and has some form of abusive tendency, emotionally, mental, you start to morph into what they want you to. You start to, let's say you love going to the gym. All of a sudden, you may stop slowly but surely, stop going to the gym. Let's say you hypothetically always love spending time with your family. All of a sudden, you stop spending as much time with your family. So little by little, you start to lose your self-identity, whereas though you're starting to identify what this person needs or wants is, whatever that may look like for that individual. This is why a lot of don't want to just say females, in general, a lot of people can tend to lose themselves because they're like morphing into things that they didn't like. This person can say, hey, I need you to gain weight, I need you to lose weight. And then they start to morph into this. This is more like, I'm talking about like the love component, but remember, it's different forms of love addictions, but more on the relationship side. Whereas though you really start to lose a sense of your hobbies, a sense of yourself, a sense of who you are. And this is why when people leave relationships, sometimes, you know how they say, I don't want to say it's like a blessing in disguise, but sometimes breaking up, you can finally breathe, and you can finally start to figure out like who you are outside of this relationship that you was enmeshing. And especially females, I know males do too. We've been taught that our highlight, our prize is getting married, right? Like getting that man, and if you don't have that all together, it's like, you know, you get devalued, right? So then you see us compromising and you see us settling, and it's just like, you know, unfortunately, this is where we're at, but we see it happen with both sexes. However, to ignore that it doesn't happen to females more is because the way society is set up. It starts with those fairy tale stories, right? You know, find that charming man and he's going to save you. And we're not taught the same things as men are taught. So we're not taught like, you know, eventually when we have daughters, of course, now we know, right? But going back to our ancestries and our ancestors, and they got it worse, of course, because they weren't taught. They wasn't taught to be independent. And here we are learning to be independent, learning to be like, okay, this is manipulation. This is dark psychology. And when it's happening as an individual and you're authentic, right, to yourself, and you're actually nice. Let's say you're a nice person. Usually people that get abused are usually nice. They're not thinking that somebody is intentionally trying to hurt them. Especially if that's not a part of their character. You're like, hold up, this person like intentionally is playing in my head. Like that's how it goes, right? Let's say that's why they have these guys with this girl. Like when she first, you ever seen the videos when she first met him? She's happy, she's glowing. But by the time that relationship is over, a piece of her has been damaged, and she starts to work because he starts to exploit her emotionally, starts to tell her things or whatever, make her feel like somehow she's not enough. He plays on her insecurity. You know how they say don't always tell people you're insecure. I mean, you should be able to be honest. But to think that somebody can exploit you is like, if you love me, why would you do that? But that's how people are. They use it so that way sometimes they can use it against you. And it's so hard to say that it's people like that, and this is how where we at today. But it is. I've been in meetings with guys where they said they strategically did this. And I'm like, whereas though they will punish a female, they had always a Rolodex. And 1 minute, like, let's say the girl didn't say something right or something like that. You know how he will punish her? He will withdraw time from her. He won't take her on a date that she wanted to go on. And I'm like, even as a clinician hearing that, I'm like, wow, this is very strategically thought out. Like,
talk about being a master of manipulation. Right. Master of manipulation. That's the key word today, guys. Manipulation. That's the word. Manipulation. That is the word.
Hello, we're back.
That is the word. So my answer to the question for Shannon is boundaries. Being a professional, seeing this stuff every day, you have to have healthy boundaries. I'm a stickler for boundaries. I don't care who you are. Ain't nobody exempt from boundaries. My son got boundaries. Knock on my door when you come in here. Don't just open my door. I don't care if it's unlocked or not. Knock on the door. And then state your purpose before you come in here. Boundaries are important. So when you are dealing with people who are love addicts, who have love bombing, who are codependent, you have to insert your boundaries at all times. You have to remain the professional in the professional setting. When you're in a relationship, you have to maintain your boundaries. Again, you have to go back to that list. What's your non-negotiables? What are you willing to negotiate on in this relationship? What are you willing not to negotiate on? That's how I handle it. Also, it's funny, right? So I had never heard about like codependency and love addiction prior to getting into the field. And the practice that Melissa and I worked at together, we were told to get a book, 2 books actually. So I actually have, yeah, right. So for everybody out there, I don't know if y'all can see it, but when I tell you this is the most amazing book ever, if you are in a relationship or single, whatever your status is, this woman right here, Pia Melody, right? Amazing author. The book is called Facing Love Addiction. She also has another one called Facing Codependency. It is a great read, and I think it is something that everyone should read to know where exactly are you at. Now, everybody's not a love addict. Everybody's not codependent. That's not what I'm saying. But for those of us that are, for those of us that have struggled with this, that are still trying to, boundaries teach people how to treat you, but also what it is that you're willing to accept and not accept. Boundaries just aren't always for the other person. The boundaries are also for you to know what you are willing to and not accept from other people, and to hold yourself accountable for your own actions. But it is a great read. You can find it on Amazon. I bought the book years ago. It was like $12. P and Melody, Facing Codependency, Facing Love Addiction. 2 great reads. If you're in a relationship, get a copy of it for your partner. Y'all read it together. It's got like charts and stuff in here. It's got questions. Like you can answer, literally go through the questions. It's journal exercises in here. Great book. When I tell you, this is where I got some of my material from tonight at. Great book. Facing Love Addiction, Facing Codependency by P and Melody. You can find it on Amazon. I'm not sure if she has the audio book yet. But like I said, I bought this a few years ago. So, my baby got some wear and tear to it. But by now, I'm sure there has to be an audio book. It is a great read. And you'll be surprised of like how many things we relate to in these books. Healthy boundaries and making sure that I stick to those boundaries. Excuse me. And if I ever, hey, Creamy, thank you. If I ever feel like I am not upholding a boundary or crossing a boundary, I take a step back. That is how I keep myself out of codependent relationships with my clients. If I see, like, even as a clinician, right, we'll have clients that when we try to terminate with them, they'll regress. And so they'll start to show symptoms of like when they initially came in. That is a clear sign of a client that is codependent on you, that they do not want to lose the relationship, that they are bound. They feel bound to you. They feel tied to you. They feel like you're the person that they've poured their heart out to and was vulnerable and spilled all their goodies and gave you all the tea and all of those things. And so sometimes, absolutely, people don't respect boundaries. They be all in your business, but people can only be in your business if you allow them to be in your business. So I'll tell you guys a funny story, and Melissa can vouch for this. So the old practice that we were at, the person that owned the practice was very upset when I left because they didn't have any information on me. I was very strictly business. Like, I didn't get in there telling a bunch of my personal business. I mean, everybody knew I had a kid, so whatever, because I brought them to work a couple times. But that was probably the most of it. That like I was in a relationship. That's just stuff you can find on my Facebook page. Like, I don't believe in putting people on my boundaries. Or my business. I have a hard time trusting people. And even for the people that I trust, I got best friends of 20 years that still don't know everything about me because
I think it's something so beautiful. I said this, right? Take some stuff to the grave with you.
Take some stuff, please.
Take some stuff to the, like, it's okay. We don't need, you don't
gotta give you everything. You don't gotta get all the meat and potatoes of our lives. Like, people have to stop feeling obligated to tell people what is happening for you. I've learned this a long time ago, and I keep seeing this post more recently and for me, it's confirmation. When you have something that's going on positive in your life and a blessing or something that's occurring, don't speak on it. Don't tell folks about it. Don't mention it. Just let it happen. Because when God, or like I said, whoever you believe in, when you are blessed and that thing comes to fruition, you know that it could only have been the source that did it for you. When you tell people your business or what you got going on or the positive things, you don't realize people start praying on your downfall because they are not where you are at. Yes, be quiet. You ain't got to tell everybody everything that's going on in your life, good, bad, or indifferent. Because when you start telling people about the positive things you got going on, this show and this business adventure here and this store is opening and this clothing line and whatever you got going on, the moment you speak those things out, the universe start working against you. You don't owe anyone anything. Absolutely. So if you don't, like, the universe will literally start working against you. When you are close to a blessing or a breakthrough, the universe will start working against you. People will start preying on your downfalls. And sometimes it's the people that's the closest to you that smile and ha kiki be throwing that shade like, girl, look at you on your little podcast. Oh, now it's a little podcast because you don't got one. You know, stuff like that. Like, you can't speak everything that is happening in your life out in the open into the public. We are not obligated to tell anybody what is going on, especially if it's someone that doesn't genuinely care or they're not genuinely concerned for what is happening and what is going on for us. Now, we do have those people in our lives that are genuinely happy and genuinely concerned. You tell those people after that thing has happened.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't got to tell people while you're going through the process. And stop telling other people business too. Jesus, mind yours. Stay in the child's place, as our parents used to tell us. Like, stop telling other people's business. That ain't for you. That's not for you. What purpose does it serve for you to tell someone else's business? Let them people tell their own business. That ain't for you. I think we have enough things that life throws at us, enough of our own stuff that we need to be concerned with. Yes, that was a good comedy series, though. Big exclusive. I ain't even gonna hold you. I might watch that this weekend. Martin did that. I needed him to come on and give us another comedy show. But really, just run and tell that. Just run and tell everything. It is a classic. It absolutely is a classic. You're not obligated to tell anyone anything, and you don't have to continue to speak it out in the universe. Just wait for it to happen. Don't speak too soon. Right. So my sister is in the comments. The closer I'm to graduation, more tomfoolery is coming for me, and I'm learning that. Yeah, exactly. And her and I just had this conversation earlier. Stop telling these folks this stuff. Child, cut them off and keep it pushing. I told you I'm good for cutting people off. I don't got time, baby. Not at this big age. I ain't running and chasing for no friends. The ones I have are solid. I am about quality over quantity these days at this big age. I don't need a bunch of friends. I just need a few solid friends that I know truly are on their knees in their prayer closets, laying prostrate for me, surrounding me with nothing but positive and good energy, whether I'm with them or I'm not. The closer you get to your blessing, the more stuff that happens. And when people know you are close to your blessing, the universe, I'm trying to tell you, gonna start throwing darts at you. It's gonna try to make you.
But keep in mind, Dominique, when the universe is throwing darts at you, they're gonna throw you bones too. Because what is meant for you is meant for you.
When it's meant for you, it's meant for you. Absolutely. Absolutely. But then there are a lot of things in this world, okay, a lot of forces that unfortunately will work against you.
Yeah.
So whatever your belief is, burn some sage, pray, get your crystals, whatever it is that you were into.
Mm-hmm.
Go and do it. Cleanse yourself.
Yeah.
Pray and ask God or your higher being to remove those things from you.
That's true.
At this big age, again, it is quality over quantity. We don't need a bunch of people around us that don't mean us no good.
And the tongue is powerful, right? We know that. People that have been bullied.
That's the power of the tongue. Ain't that what they say? Mm-hmm.
That bullying, right? People come in, and we can attest to this, me and Dominique, come in from years ago, still suffering with bullies, even though the bully happened like 10 or 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still being impacted today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the power of the tongue is real.
That's why I'm telling y'all, before y'all go to bed, go on, put y'all on something positive. Don't be watching scary movies and all that killing us. Don't take that stuff to bed with you. Say a positive affirmation over yourself. And go to sleep and do a prayer. Or whatever your ritual is. Meditate. Listen to Joel Osteen. I don't know. Whoever you pick. It's like, yeah, Creamy, there it is. Yeah, don't take that to bed with you. I'm trying to tell you, learn to surround yourself with speak that into existence. There is life and death in the power of the tongue. So let's get to the last thing, because we done went off on a whole tangent, but I feel like somebody in the audience needed to hear that. So
everybody needs to hear this.
Everybody needs to hear that. I need to hear that. That wasn't even that wasn't even written down. That wasn't scripted or nothing. I ain't had that written down. I don't even know where that came from. But, listen, we're going to get to it. All right. So.
Y'all getting free coaching right now. Hold up. We need to pay for this. Y'all need to try. Hold up. We're going to send y'all invoices later.
Everybody in the comments getting an invoice. Okay. All right. My cash app is. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So love bombing. The love bombing is the last thing. So love bombing. What is love bombing? Love bombing is a form of psychological and emotional abuse. I do take food stamps, okay? Because they charging like $10.99 for cases of water because y'all was scared about some damn contaminated water. That ain't contaminated, but that's a whole nother conversation. It's actually creamy not watching TV, especially at night, because ain't nothing good on there anyway but some killing and zombie movies. So love bombing is a form of psychological and emotional abuse that involves a person going above and beyond for you in an effort to manipulate you into a relationship with them. It looks different for every person, but it usually involves some form of excessive flattering and praise, over communication of their feelings for you, showering you with unneeded and unwanted gifts, and early and intense talks about future together. Love bombing can happen intentionally or unintentionally. Although it's most often recognized by romantic partners, your family members and friends can love bomb you too. It's usually driven by a person's insecurities, inability to trust, and dependency on other people. Although anyone can do it, love bombing is most often associated with people who have anxiety or are anxious or have some type of insecure attachment style, or someone that has NPD, which is narcissistic personality disorder. People can also pick up on this behavior by learning it from their parents, like being passive aggressive, or from a past abusive relationship. It can also be a side effect of unresolved childhood trauma, but that's not always the case. So love bombing tends to occur in 3 phases. So the first phase is the idolization phase. During this phase, your partner bombards you with excessive love and affection to draw you in and convince you to let your guard down. At first, it seems too good to be true or easy to be swept off your feet. Then there is the devaluation phase. Once you've let your guard down and come and get comfortable in the relationship, red flags start to appear. Y'all know how we feel about them red flags. We like to ignore those. Your partner may try to exert control over you in a variety of ways. They may become more demanding of your time and get upset when you make plans without them. They may also try to limit access to your friends and family and gaslight you into thinking nothing is wrong with their behavior. In the most severe cases, they may use fear and intimidation to get you to behave differently than you normally would, and even resort to physical violence. And then there is the discard phase. When you confront them about their harmful behavior or try to reset healthy boundaries, your partner may avoid accountability by refusing to cooperate and compromise, or by abandoning the relationship. This can leave you feeling confused, disoriented, or like you somehow failed to fix things. This is love bombing, people. I'm sure that a few of us have experienced this. We're going to leave it there. Go ahead, Melissa.
That's that high. That's like that.
That's the high you were talking about. Yep.
That people come back to chase, right? Because you're like, oh, in the beginning it was like this and like this. And people don't know, like every day, let's look at life like this. Every day is a new day of learning. Same thing. If that person is no longer acting right after that 3-month mark, and he continues that behavior, more than likely that's the real person. It has nothing to do with you. And that's what keep people on that high, right? Like, because they're looking for that first, all that attention, all that affection. Like, hold on, where did this go at? And it's like they did that strategically.
It's just like a drug addict, right? They're always chasing that first high. So you're always chasing that wolf in sheep's clothing that they showed you, because they was a beautiful soft sheep for those first couple months, and then they came out and showed you who they really was, a vicious, ferocious beast. Like, they showed you who they were. They were manipulating. They pulled you away from. I'll give you guys a prime example for those who have seen this movie. I don't want to assume everybody. The movie Enough with Jennifer Lopez. The guy that ended up being her husband is a prime example of what love bombing looks like. That is the most perfect example I can give you guys. That is what love bombing looks like. Just being overzealous and, giving her kind of everything that she wanted. Like, he threatened the guy to kick the guy out the house. It was like, I want to buy your house. This is how much I'm willing to pay. My damn house ain't even on sale. But he was just very, like, passive aggressive. Definitely some narcissistic personalities. You know, he was just overly excessive about, you know, his love and affection for her. Even, you know, on the wedding day, like, he didn't want nobody else to dance with her. When her dad came over, he kind of like gave him this look, like he let him dance, but then it was like, all right, dude, that's enough. Like, you've been dancing here 30 seconds too long. You know, that's a perfect example of like what love bombing it looks like. That person that comes and sweeps you off your feet very quickly. It's the idolization phase. It's the phase that you just think, this is how it's supposed to be. This is how the whole relationship is going to be. And then they turn into this other person. And then the red flags start going off. And, you know, sometimes we ignore the red flags. We do. I've been there. Sometimes we ignore the red flags. So we don't see them because we're so in awe and so in love with who this person showed us they quote unquote, you know, who they were. And so then they begin to exert control over you. And now it's well, where are you going? Well, why wasn't I invited? Because it's an all-girls brunch, my guy. That's why you weren't invited. The girls, we're going to go hang out. Ain't no guys allowed. But then they began to exert control, and they want to know your whereabouts and who you with and how long you going to be. And they want to pick you up and drop you off and wait in the car, and you're taking too long. And it's like, I only been out for 30 minutes. I need you to relax. So then they begin to exert control, and sometimes that control comes into the physical sense, where now they become abusive. So now they're starting arguments with you. There you go, Creamy. See, we've all experienced it, right? And it is scary, Tiffany. It is. Yes, Royalty. That's a great example. I cannot think of the movie, but yes, the guy that she ended up cheating on her husband with. And I want to go to great of it. That's hey, Aunt, that's true, right? We see the red flags and we think we are at an amusement park and it is time for some fun. No, it is time to run. Okay, go the opposite way. Don't tag into this. Get out of it. But you know, unfortunately, then sometimes it becomes, you know, almost abusive. They want to limit your behavior. They want to limit how much time you're spending with your friends. Oh, you go out with your girlfriends too much. Oh, you always with your guys. And let's be clear, women do this too. So this ain't just for the men.
Yeah.
They want to, what you doing? Oh, you must be cheating. Every time I look up, you out with somebody, you out with the guys. Because that's what guys do. Y'all go hang out. Some of y'all a little more than others. I be wondering. But that's it. I'm just saying. But, you know, they will start to try to control little stuff, keeping you away from your family, trying to separate you and pull you away. The movie that Royalty is referring to, I cannot think of the name of the movie, the Tyler Perry movie, but the movie Enough, pulling you away from your family. And then the moment you confront this person and you have that conversation with you, start implementing the boundaries, then they want to get physical. Now you are literally in a fight of your life. Or you get to the discard phase where they've gotten out of you what they wanted to get out of you. They've broken you down. They've stripped you. They've gotten all of your vulnerabilities, all of your weaknesses, all of your insecurities, and they just discard you. And they make it feel like you are the person that ruined the relationship. You shouldn't have went through my phone. You was cheating. Yeah. They called while you was in the shower. I don't know if you know. Like, just, it's never any accountability that's taken on their end. So they rather just dump the relationship and discard of the relationship and make you sit there wondering, confused, disoriented, and dazed. What did I do wrong? Now, can we all take accountability in every relationship? Absolutely. Even when we are the person that is broken up with, we all have to take accountability. Accountability comes on both ends. But in a situation like this where a person is love bombing you, there may have been like nothing you did, but they're going to make you believe that you did something. They don't want to compromise, and they refuse to cooperate with anything you're saying, even once they're caught, even once you confront them and try to set boundaries and tell them about their harmful behavior towards you. They like, it really wasn't that big of a deal. My eye is black. I think that is a big deal. I think we should be talking about that. So that is what love bombing is. Melissa, do you have anything you want to add?
Definitely keep alert. Like when people are love bombing and we're getting into these relationships, it can be emotional, it could be past, it could be mental, and those are the more when somebody hits you, you know that's wrong, right? And sometimes emotional abuse can be sounding like they caring for you, like, hey, babe, it sounds like you got a weight issue, but you probably don't even have a weight issue. So it's just like little things that you have to keep in mind when they're doing and the red flags that we're seeing. This is why it's important to like get with someone if you think any of this thing is going on. So that way you as the individual don't you can see it from like a different lens. Sometimes you gotta see it from a different lens. And you're not taking on all the guilt or the shame and being like, oh, it's my fault. A lot of people like to people that are narcissists, this is what they do.
Mm-hmm.
They study, they know this. And the older they get, the better they get. So they know their target, they know their point. So before anyone wants you to open up too soon about your person, don't open up about nothing. Like they don't tell them. Like just see how that person is before you go ahead and let this person know certain things, and y'all think y'all connected. So just be cautious, definitely, because it don't always have to be in a hip motion. It can be very subtle. Very subtle, very passive, or whereas though, let's say, they may give you the silent treatment.
Or be very like passive aggressive about stuff. And honestly, they're just inflicting their own insecurities onto you.
Yeah.
They have something that has occurred with them, happened with them, and now they are trying to inflict that pain, that hurt, that manipulation onto you. So if you see the red flags, pay attention to them red flags. Okay? Now, sometimes everything is not a red flag. Okay, let me be clear. Sometimes y'all be throwing a flag on the play. It don't need to be all the time. Okay? Yeah. Everything is not a red flag. Okay? You just gotta make a decision if it's a deal breaker, but it may not be a red flag. It may just be, a non-negotiable for you. Again, this is why having healthy boundaries are important. Knowing what you're willing and not willing to accept in a relationship. This is why it is important when we go back to talking about codependency and love addiction. Not only having healthy boundaries, but knowing who you are, building up your own self-esteem, being okay with being alone. I know that's hard. Again, God created us to be together, to be one, to be social. That's why COVID was so hard for people, because people weren't able to like connect with, their friends, their coworkers, their family, because, the way they tried to scare everybody, you're going to die if you catch it. And I mean, I ain't saying folks wasn't dying. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we went through that for 3 years, right? We are meant to be with each other. We are not meant to be codependent on someone. We need to know what our existence is when this person leaves, because let's be clear, God loans us people. These people aren't ours. Our kids aren't ours. Our husbands, our wives, our spouses, our friends, our co-workers, they are not ours. They are on borrowed time. We are on borrowed time. They are loaned to us. God loans them to us. So if you become so enmeshed with a person that you lose who you are, that is a problem. People get in relationships and then they break up and then they be depressed and then they be ready to kill themselves. Okay? I give you a prime example of a damn codependent relationship. I can't stand neither one of them. Blueface and Krishan. Oh my God. That whole relationship, I think they got some type of codependency, love addiction, and definitely a lot of love bombing happened with him to her. She's a beautiful girl, but unfortunately, she does not know herself without him.
Correct.
She doesn't know who she is without him. That's why they are so drawn to each other. That's why they can't get away from each other. That's why every time they break up, they be right back together. Then she wants to have this man's baby. Because she always wants to feel attached to him. No matter how bad he treats her, no matter how many times they fight, physically, she be knocking him upside his head. He be knocking her tooth out. No matter how many times that happens, they are so addicted and connected to each other that I honestly, in my opinion, my clinical opinion, think that if they actually broke up for good and he actually was done with her and she was actually done with him, that girl would try to harm herself if she does not succeed. And while he act like he don't care about her and he's still hitting the other baby mom, they still dealing with each other, he is dependent on that girl.
They both.
They're dependent on each other. They're both mass manipulators. They both know how to manipulate the situation. So, yeah.
Blueface had even came out and said this, which was so dangerous to like all of us as society. He said Chris Brown picked the wrong girl. To like basically implying like, to hit.
Yeah.
And it shows like they know.
Well, Blueface is garbage. So I'm sorry to the Blueface fans out there. He's garbage. I said what I said. When the last time he made a song or dropped an album? He's trash. So
Yeah.
he's part of that younger generation that's just stupid. That clearly they slipped his mom some fentanyl when she was pregnant with him. Had to. Like, it was either that or crack. I don't know. But he's garbage as a person. But even that, right? Like, saying a statement like that, implying that it's okay to hit on a female.
Mm-hmm.
If that ain't toxic, I don't know what is. Those
no, they're aware of it. They know it. They just, that's that celebrity young life, the young teenagers. This is why.
Somebody's gonna end up dead, though. That's the problem. Somebody's gonna end up dead. Somebody's gonna end up dead. Like, that is a very strong codependent relationship. That they are literally addicted to each other. That they cannot live without each other. It's bad. It's bad. That's a good example of codependency and love addiction. And the movie Enough, and the Tyler Perry movie, is a great example of love bombing and how it happens and how it occurs. And I'm sure we've all been there. Like I said, when you see those red flags, run.
And you know what? The Tyler Perry movie was a great movie to set up. I mean, I know which one I was like.
I cannot think of it. And then
look it up. Movie. But going back to the Tyler Perry movie and also the J-Lo, what you see, it didn't start right away. It didn't take years to years later. So that's the thing. Don't get so invested into the time, because a lot of people are like, oh, I had that lady, when he just like discard her. She was so hooked on the years, right? Mm-hmm. People be hooked on the past and the years. And it's like, if he's not treating you good today, not years ago, today, that's what you need to focus on. Mm-hmm. And that's how a lot of women sometimes not just women and men get stuck, because they look at it like, oh, we had all these great years, or we had all this. And then all of a sudden it changed. So it doesn't always have to be within that first few months. It can be years sometimes where they start to change. So
temptation.
Yes.
I was going to look it up. I wasn't going to show this thing until I looked it up. But even that, men, red flags for women, do not allow no woman to talk to you any type of way. I don't care what kind of relationship you have with your mom, and you're going to have to deal with that. Go to therapy, sit on somebody's couch, whatever. But
Temptation was the one with HIV. That was
Temptation.
The one.
That was the one with that. The one with HIV was Temptation.
Okay, but I was talking about the first one too. The Tyler Perry first one. Remember the first movie, like when she was married and she was with him for years. And he was gonna be a lawyer, and he got all this.
Oh, Why Did I Get Married?
Yeah.
They're both good movies. Mm-hmm. But men, there are red flags in dating as well. Women, there are red flags, and when you see them, run. Like I said, everything is not a red flag. Some things are just a non-negotiable for you, and that's okay too. Like, if you have a certain boundary or a certain non-negotiable or a certain expectation for a person and they're not meeting it, or you don't think that they are willing to compromise, that's your prerogative, right? Can't nobody tell you what to expect out of a relationship with people. We all have these levels and lists of expectations and things that we want out of a person. You just have to decide if it's a deal breaker for you. But red flags, yes, please run. Somebody that is love bombing you or codependent or easily fall in love, easily say, I love you. How? What you love about me? Tell me more. People use that word so much and don't even know what it means half the time. What have they shown you? How has their behavior and their actions shown you that they love you? This your second date and already they love you? Run. Get out of there. Fast. Okay? Blocked. Change your phone number. I don't know. But pay attention to the red flags, because they are there. The red flags are there. And sometimes we want to be loved so much that we are willing to ignore some of those red flags. And then we sitting there crying with our heart broke at the end. And it was like, God was like, I was trying to, you ain't get the warning sign, the Amber Alert ain't come through your phone. You ain't had nothing, huh? You just skipped on past it, huh? All right. Yep. And now you're here. And now you're like, God, please take the pain away. God, like, go on and sit in that for a little bit because I tried to warn you, you wasn't listening. Sometimes I do think God allows us to go through certain things because he tried to told us and we didn't listen. He tried to learn us something. We were just like, God, he died. God, he's so great. He's amazing. He got a nice car. He got a good job. You know, I mean, verbally, like, he be cussing me out and stuff, but like, he is a really good dude. Like, what? He cussing you out? Why is he cussing at you? Like, well, what happened?
I can hear somebody saying.
That's all I'm saying. You can start picturing these things. Like, yeah.
So crazy.
I really love her. Like, she amazing. Like, she dope. She got all of this. I mean, when she get mad though, she be doinking me and like putting her hands on me. Run, my guy. Run. Don't let no woman put their hands on you. I'll tell y'all now, I'm raising my son. Y'all better keep y'all daughters away from my kid because I am raising my son. She put her hands on you, put your hands back. I'm gonna let you know. Everybody
That's how I feel. I'm like,
everybody has a right to defend themselves. So y'all better teach y'all daughters correctly because they run across my son. He gonna put his hands back on him. I'm gonna let she put her hands first. He gonna defend himself. And then he gonna call his mama and his cousins and all of that. That's all I'm saying.
No one should be hitting no one.
Everybody should keep their hands to themselves.
Nobody, no hitting, no stabbing.
Take these, ball them up, and do like this. Keep your hands to yourself.
It is time to leave that relationship if it gets to that level. That means if a person makes you that mad that you want to put harm, it is time.
It's time to go. That was the red flag right there. And them red flags was there. That mouth, them vicious arguments and discussions, those was the red flags.
When you start to think about a relationship, right? You think about a personal relationship with a person. That you and that person share some intimate moment. So to think in your mind that it's even okay for this person to mistreat you and disrespect you, that's just like, it just doesn't make sense. It's just like, you gotta fight yourself, fight the world, and I gotta fight you.
And I gotta fight in my relationship. All my life I had to fight. I don't want that for me. I'm not a cast on the color purple, okay? All right. Well, Melissa, thank you for joining me. Thank you for coming on, talking about, codependency, love addiction, love bombing. You have a permanent seat on the show. So I definitely want you to come back. And I definitely want you to come back so you can talk about your business so I can make sure that we are promoting your business.
Yes, I have 2 workbooks, 3 of them on Amazon. It's called Selfish Love Workbook. Get it. It's also not only a calendar, but also it has thought-provoking questions, not only for like a clinician lens, but also for a personal lens. That way you definitely want to journal. It's a reason why we say journal as clinician. And it's the reason why we say write versus type, right? Because when you're writing, you get to feel these emotions and understand and connect your own thoughts versus having to go other places. It's something about writing. As a kid, we used to write. It is something how we learned how to get in touch with our feelings and tap in and not just always distract ourselves with TikTok or Instagram and get lost. Then we're not connecting. Connect with yourself so you can really start to understand who you are and analyze your own emotions. Sometimes I have my clients even play clinician mode. I'll be like, hypothetical.
Absolutely. I appreciate you so much. This is such a great way to end, Women's History Month is to have you on here, positive woman in the force and, in the industry doing her thing. An entrepreneur, educated, wearing many, 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 many hats. So I am grateful. I know how busy you are. So thank you for taking the time out to meet with me. And again, I'll be bringing you back real soon.
Okay, I can't wait. Thank you, Abby.
Bye. All right, guys, that's Melanated Vibrations. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for joining in. I hope you got something out of it tonight. I hope you learned what codependency is, what love addiction is, and what love bombing is. When you see those red flags, run, but make sure they red flags and they're not just part of your non-negotiable or things that you're just not willing to accept and tolerate. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all the support, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Hey, good people. Welcome to Melanated Vibrations, a new show that celebrates the diversity and richness of Black culture.